course, there's time where we have to wait for it to load on Facebook because it's
I
so
actually
slow.
see that it's already live.
Yep, it is now. Exactly. Hey, everybody, what's going on? I'm going to let Mr. Pham in. How's it going, everybody? I'm so excited for today's Seller Roundtable. We're going to be here with Izabella Ritz, and we're going to talk about how do you find that next product? How do you actually do this high demand, low competition thing? I mean, most people think that that's kind of played out now, but Izabella has some ways where you can still do that and still do a great job launching a product. So we're going to talk through that today. And you guys can join us in the Zoom. You can go to sellerroundtable.com/live and you'll get the Zoom link, and you can join us here and you can ask questions while we're in the Zoom. Or you can watch us live. We're right here on Facebook Live on the Seller Roundtable channel. And we're gonna hit this recording button and get into it. What do you think, Izabella? You ready?
I am always ready.
I know. Isn't she radiant, everybody? Just the yellow. The yellow is such a good color on you. Red and yellow, amazing colors on you.
Thank you.
All right. You're welcome. Let's go for it. Hey everyone, what's up? This is Amy Weiss, and Andy Arnott is out today, but that's okay. I am covering the show. We are in episode 153 of the Seller Roundtable podcast, and I am here today with the amazing, the beautiful, the smart, the talented Izabella Ritz from Ritz Momentum. And we're going to be talking about everything to do with how do you find a product research, product development, how do you find the best product, bring it to market, get it done. Izabella, so great to have you here.
Thank you, Amy. You're learning every single day something. And right now I just learned how I have to welcoming my guests on my podcast, because every single time I'm doing podcast, I'm like, hey, it's Izabella Ritz with Amazon Ritz Momentum. And here, Amy Weiss, let's talk about this. So I actually have to praise you. And now I feel so embarrassed in front of everybody who I was interviewing for the past couple of weeks, so I have to probably redo the whole sessions.
No, I've been on your podcast before and it's awesome. You do a great job with intros. And sometimes it's great to get right into the show because our attention spans are short nowadays. We're all doing so many things and people are like, get to it. So they probably appreciate that so much. They probably think about me like, Amy, get to it already.
Okay, then we'll get to it. I mean, anyway, thank you for the presentation and for presenting me to your I wanted to say to your family, also to your family.
This is the fam. This is the SRT fam, the AH fam. I love it. So let's talk about you. Our first question on the podcast is always getting to know our guests, and we want to know. Tell us about your journey into coming on this podcast today. Like, tell us about your journey into e-commerce, your background, as much or as little as you'd like to tell us, and what you're up to today.
Okay, sure. I will try actually to make a long story short and add something that I never added into my podcast or at any interview. My first journey, let's say not just e-commerce, like with my first touch with internet job was when I turned, I believe, 14 and a half, and I was working back to Russia with the software company, accounting software company. Yeah. And
when you were 14,
yes, I started very early, and I was at school and I was working at this company, and in 2 years they actually promoted me. And the qualification for this job was you have to be at least 25, and I was 16. And I had to go through the whole education, how this software work and how to sell it to people. So I was sales manager at 16 years old, and I was selling the software. That back to that time, I got my first email, because like back to Russia, if you can imagine, people didn't have it. Like you guys had internet here, we didn't have for years. And my first inbox and all this emails, and we tried to figure out how it worked. Anyway, that was my first touch with the kind of, let's say, online business. At my 17 years old, I arranged a little bit, a small business, very small little business about the business training. And back to that time, I tried to teach people and I actually liked it. I sold my business in 1.5 years since the moment I created, and I was 18 something years old, and it was my first million of rubles. And back to that time, yeah, if you will like convert the currency, it was $35,000. I was so proud of myself. It was like, you know, it's top of the roof. In my family, nobody never been rich or wealthy. We never had money. And since that moment, I realized like you can actually, money actually not that hard. So you can make money from the air. You can always create some venue, some venture, something that you can earn. I was having fun for a little bit after I sold the company, and then I created another company. It was the infographics studio. Then I created interior design studio. Then I created the web studio that we've been doing the websites, and I was like selling every single one. I was like, okay, it's so cool. Now I have money to start something. I'm growing. We have sales now. Like I have employees, and whenever everything is working, I can sell. And that was pretty easy. So I was like building, selling. Yeah, and in 2015, I sold my last company in Russia. I was keep teaching people this whole time. And when we moved to United States, I had to figure it out. What should I do? And like, you know what? Everybody's talking about Amazon. I never sold anything. I'd never had my personal store. We created internet stores for the customers because I had the web studio and I knew how it's working, but I never been selling any products by myself. I'm like, you know what? I know how SEO works. I know how the platform works. It's generally speaking, pretty much copy paste. I will figure it out. And I figured it out. And back to 2015, Amazon was pretty simple. As you know, you could have a lot of reviews, you could have the very shitty listing, nobody will tell you anything, and no real policies, rules, and something you can do whatever. And I invested my last $5,000 and I got a return as 14K. And this is something that made me pretty happy because I realized that it's working. It is actually working. And then I started like digging deeper. I had a lot of failures. I had a lot of success stories with Amazon, with my products. I learned a lot. I learned not from the big sales. I learned from failures, of course. This is the only way to learn. Then in 2019, I started my agency, Ritz Momentum. And now we're developing products for people because a lot of people, they don't have this expertise and they don't want to lose hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, how someone did. They want to learn from others. And a lot of people just don't want to do anything. They have money, they have their businesses, they have their jobs. They're coming to us, we're doing business, generally speaking, instead of them or for them. So we're a full service agency with product development. But this is shortly about me. And I also have 3 kids and a husband.
Wow. That is so incredible that you sold your first business at 18 years old in Russia, and just, you know, you really fell in love. You had this entrepreneurial spirit from a very young age. And so that brings us to today, where what year did you move to the United States?
I moved in 2015 and I moved to Florida, to Jacksonville. I was thinking that this is like the very cool town because I did a bad research. It's a very cool town for military people.
What's wrong with Jacksonville? Jacksonville's great.
Jackson's great for military people. And yeah, it's not great when you actually want to have a lot of things around, but it was a very nice experience. I'm not saying anything like terrible, but
yeah,
it was a good start.
2015, and that's when you started with Amazon. You started launching your own products and kind of figuring it out, and having, all of us have failures. That's what I try to remind people, you know, when they get embarrassed about a failed product or get embarrassed about their sales not going well. It's like, are you kidding me? Every single one of us has had at least one failed product. I had multiple failed products, you know, And every product has a life cycle as well. So sometimes we have failures from the beginning, and other times it's going really, really good, but then we're at the end of our life cycle, and we don't want to let that baby go, because at one time that baby was selling so well, and so it's just all about kind of continuing to grow.
It's actually something very good that you just mentioned. One of my ex-customers, she was my former student. She reached out to me a couple of days ago asking, Bella, do you remember I was like learning from you? And I see the last message from her was in 2020. So I believe she was learning from me like in 2019, maybe 2018. And she's asking, do you remember I was launching the book? So this book is not selling anymore, and I have 2,000 of them on Amazon. And I was like trying to remember who is this. And then I realized, okay, I remember your book, I remember your products, but it's been already like 2-3 years ago. Did you add something else? She said, no, I didn't. I'm like, that's why, like, your product will not gonna, if it doesn't matter what you're gonna do right now with your product, the time is over. So, and she's like, we're spending so much money on PPC. Her product succeeded back to 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but right now it's already, nothing you can do about it. And guys, if you have the same issue going on, the recommendation, generally speaking, you will hear from every single experienced seller. If you can do nothing about your product, just liquidate it. Don't put a lot of efforts. Yeah, just move on. Just move on. There are plenty other products that you can sell on Amazon. And as Amy said, with a high demand and low competition.
So speaking of high demand and low competition, I know if Andy was here right now, he'd be thinking the same thing, because, it is very difficult to use the age-old methods that have been put out there for years to look for high demand and low competition products, because there are thousands of new sellers using that same method to find the same products. And so what ends up happening is, oh, this is great, there's almost no competition, it's great, I'm going to launch it, I'm going to go through the bad reviews, I'm going to figure out, how to make it different, how to make it better. But everyone else is following that same method. And by the time you launch, you're in a sea of competition, and you haven't differentiated in a way that matters to the customer, and you end up in a price and review war. So, Izabella, how do we today what's your method for finding products other than just filtering by high demand, low competition, and ensuring that you don't get stuck in the price and review war after launching that product?
So it's a great question. Also, I want to add something. When, as you mentioned, like a lot of people that are following the same rules, like high demand, low competition, bad reviews, good reviews, ratings, and all this stuff. However, not every single person is following the rules right. So at this point, guys, I want to get your attention. Make sure when you know the rules, make to follow them on the way how those rules are written. You cannot follow the rules just through your information perceiving. Of course, you're perceiving information differently, but don't assume at this point, because business is always technical. Amazon is very technical. So you have to follow the rules, how they're written and how they've been told to you by experts. So when I'm doing the product research, first of all, I'm using several software tools. When someone is asking what's better, Helium 10, Seller Tools, Smart Scout, I don't know what else we have.
AMZ,
Managed by Stats,
Seller.tools.
Yeah, managed by Stats.
There's like
Amazon Opportunities. I'm using those 5. Yeah, I'm using Amazon Opportunities, but Amazon Opportunities for now, they're not really user-friendly. They're absolutely not user-friendly, honestly. Like, you have to like dig deeper and like go back and forth. And I think it will take them minimum 14 months to actually stabilize and build everything right, that we will be able to use it. However, the moment they released it, other software started working better, because now the data is more clear. I'm using Helium 10. I'm using Seller Tools, as I said, managed by Stats, and Smart Scout. And I'm using every single one and their numbers. It's, you know, like credit bureau. I'm combining their numbers and I'm dividing by the amount of the tools I was using at this moment. Also, I'm checking the BCRs. So this is how I'm coming up with the average data that will be more clear for me. Then when I'm doing the product research, I'm doing the product research that will not be just with a high demand and low competition. By one specific keyword, I'm checking the keywords so I will be able to have the semantic core. Semantic core, if you guys don't know, it's when you have different type of keywords that are matching or that are relevant or complementing the keywords for this specific product. Like, for example, I have a candle, right? It might be watermelon candle. It might be candle as a gift. It might be gift for someone. It might be pink candle. It might be scented candle. And like, we have a lot of keywords for this specific subject and for this specific product. And every single one of them supposed to match my requirements, or I can select some keywords and subtract some keywords that I don't want to use because maybe title density will be extremely high and I don't want to use this keyword for my future product. The moment I found this best match, I am checking if I will be able to develop this product based on the avatar. And before I will jump here, I'm checking the purchase rate. So when I'm going, for example, when I'm using the seller tools, which I love for this feature, and I think if you guys don't use it, you have to have it. And I believe it's free too. So you're installing.
It is free. I love it too.
Yeah, you can see your purchase rate. So you can put like pink candle or scented candle or whatever candle, and you can see based on the like first page search what is the purchase rate. And if this purchase rate is lower than, let's say, 1%, you can dig deeper into this product. We have questions, guys. I will answer right after I will finish the sentence. So if you see the purchase rate is lower than 1%, based on the several keywords, you can start dig deeper and you will be able to find out if it's actually worth to go into this niche. So, and if this, you answered, Naomi, right?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, good. Let me know if I have to answer something. So if the moment you found like, okay, I probably can develop this product, you're checking the target audience. So you have to find out who is actually buying those products, who want to buy it, why they want to buy it. So for example, if I will ask you, who do you think is buying this candle? You will, we actually have people here in the room, guys. Who do you think will buy this specific candle? Like, what is the actual avatar? Who wants to have it on the table or who want to give it to someone? Just tell me what is the target audience. So the moment we find out who is the target audience, we're starting checking what this target audience is buying, and we're checking what is their purchase point. I'm buying because I love watermelons. I'm buying because it's pink. I like because my grandma loved to smell it. I just love because I'm just buying because it's cheap and it's everything I can afford. It's also might be the reason. So the moment we checked the target audience, don't forget to check the target audience, not just based on reviews on the competitors on Amazon, because let's be clear and honest here. Amazon is doing its best to follow only honest reviews, but not all of them are. So let's check Pinterest. Let's check Etsy. Let's check just Google. Let's check all the Walmart, all the resources that we have. It will take you maybe 2 hours, but it will save you tons of time in the future. Find
I love to check the questions that people are asking about our product. I like to read blogs about different markets to see like what kind of pain points do people have, you know, Answer the Public is great for that. What kind of questions are people asking in that niche? so that you're not just looking at this tool that says that this is high demand, low competition.
Correct.
Because what you want to make sure is when you launch that product, that you're not going to be lost in the race to the bottom, because everybody else who's following the same method is also choosing the candle, right? But what Izabella is saying is, I'm going to choose the pink candle that is, you know, watermelon scented or fruit scented, because it's different than all the other candles. So I get the candle keyword, but I also get gifts for, you know, women, or I also get watermelon scented things. You know, you're doing all the keyword research, and then you're looking at the market in general, and you're seeing what's trending in candles, what's trending in, you know, in the colors for this, what are people asking about, you know, what is on trend, and how can I launch something that's going to matter, that people are going to go from that blog that they just read in Good Housekeeping magazine, and then they're going to come to Amazon looking for this new trend of fruit scented candles, and they're going to find it, where everybody else is looking only at what's already selling, right? If I look at only at what's already selling, I'm never going to find that I should add a fruit scented candle to that specifically pink, because I'm studying the market, right? So I think that that's so huge, Izabella. I love that you're saying, like, look, use the tools, find the things that are high demand, low competition, but then take it a step further. Go off Amazon, study,
Correct.
look at what people want, look at what they need, and then study other keywords that you could launch under too, because you don't just want to be pigeonholed into one single keyword. You know, you want to be able to pivot. So I love that advice. I think it's
Thank you.
really great. And so that's a really great technique to use. And we mentioned the seller.tools Chrome extension, which shows the purchase rate.
Yep.
And I like to also look at not just the purchase rate. So when you guys search for a keyword using the seller.tools free Chrome extension, when you search for a keyword, it will show you at the top the purchase rate, and it will show you, if you click into the insights button, it will show you the top 3 sellers, and you can actually see if the top sellers own most of the market, which is really good. So if the purchase rate is higher, right, like 4% or something like that, that's actually a good thing, because you're saying that for that keyword, 4% of people who type in that keyword are actually purchasing. But what you want to make sure of is that it's not all, that market is not already owned by the top 3. So if we look at our Amazon brand analytics, or we look at the keyword insights in there, we can see how many of those top sellers are taking the bulk of the sales. And then you can kind of make a better decision after you've studied the market on what could get done there. So
Yeah,
love
right.
it. All right, let's talk about
Just one more thing I want to also add about like watermelon candle, in case if you are going to like similar type of products, right? In case you'll decide to do something, please check if this specific scent or like sign or something, whatever you're going to customize, is going to work based on the season, or the trends will be all over the year. Because sometimes people, oh, I love this scent, I'm going to sell it, or like, oh, I want to sell something for 4th of July, but I'm going to start selling it September 1st. So keep in mind, you're launching the product that is matching the season, or this product is going to, it will be selling all over the year. Because if you're going to like sell Christmas trees, it will be selling only during the holiday season. So
yeah, and you can make a lot of money off of seasonal products, but like you mentioned, you want to make sure that you know that going in, so that, you know, if you just plan on, because I have clients that they just sell Christmas season, like they just sell Christmas decoration, and they can sell enough during Christmas season where they don't have to work for the rest of the year, and then they work on their next season's, you know, holiday decor, that kind of thing. And so if you're going to have a seasonal business, that's fine, but you should plan that into your business plan, right? Instead of just like, oh, I think I'm going to launch these ornaments, and then by the time you get them to market, you know, it's already the end of the season, or
it's actually December 31st.
Yeah, it's not making you any money the rest of the year, right?
Yeah.
So How do you validate? So let's say, you love this candle, right? You found it, you studied the market, you think that everything is pretty good. How do you actually validate? How do you get that confidence that you've made the right choice? Do you have a validation process?
Amy, how can you validate something? You have to just decide because you love it. Of course, we validate stuff. Thank you for the question. So when you're doing any type of business, when you are looking for the niche, when you're trying to come up with an idea, what will be your next business, and in this case, what will be your next product, you cannot rely on your personal opinion ever, 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 because I like bright colors. Maybe Amy hates them. I probably want to be blonde, and Amy want to color her, dye her hair next day in a black colors, right? So it doesn't matter what I like and what she likes. I like to look at her, and she probably enjoy to look at me. It doesn't mean I enjoy to look at myself, right? So we cannot be based on our personal opinion ever in our lives. We have to validate it with the market. And you can validate with the several options. Of course, first of all, like the easiest way is to go to the services like Pigfu, People Fish, and Amy, you recently talked to the guys. What's
Product
their name?
Opinion?
Yeah, Product Opinion, right.
Mm-hmm.
So you can use those services to validate it immediately after you develop it, before you develop it. What you also can do, you can talk to the bloggers who have real audience, and they can post it on their blogs, asking people, what would you prefer to buy, this one or this one, this color over this color? And of course, we are going through like the whole validation process. Like just today, actually, before we started, we finalized one of the products that we've been delaying for our customer, because when I was looking at the product, I'm like, I think it's not going to work. And I chose the bestseller competitors, and I compared it to the product we developed. I had doubts, and I find out that our product is not the best. So we did the customization all over. Like we started from scratch. I said, we're not delivering the product that I have doubts, and like the market is proving we had doubts, and the purchase rate will be pretty low. We're redoing everything from scratch. So we did everything from scratch. And just now, before we started this podcast, I got the results, and the results are 80-20, and 80 is like our on our favor, and 20 on the best seller competitor. So, and I will not trust just this one poll. I will do this poll with 2 other competitors. And if every single competitor I have against my product will be weaker, then this product will be validated, and we're starting to the sample and production of this product, we're launching it on the market. At the same time, like Amy, she loves to create listings and like find all this tricky stuff. Of course, we're validating listings, and we're validating, for us, it's very important to validate the main picture. So how this picture will look like with the box, without the box, with the like in this order, if it's a set or another order. So we have to check it out how it's going to work. So genuinely speaking, answering your question, 2 approaches with the bloggers sometimes, but the fastest way is Pigfu. Yes, we're paying for every single poll, and but it's making our
within an hour you can have answers back on Pigfu. The only thing that people sometimes you want to add an additional kind of a side poll besides Pigfu, or besides Product Opinion, or besides one of the surveys, because most of the audience there is actually paid to do surveys, right? And even though you can narrow down your audience, it's always good to make sure that you're studying that you're asking the very specific market, because you might get, you might, you know, ask men age 30 to 50 that you think is your audience on PickFu, and you might get a really great answers of, you know, how your whiskey glasses should look, right? But you may also want to just double validate that with, for example, a Facebook group of, you know, men in that age group, you know, ask them about it. You can do a poll, right? One technique that I love that I saw is doing a Pinterest ad. So you can actually do a mock-up of the product, and you can do a Pinterest ad, and you can see, you can target your direct audience, people that search for certain things on Pinterest. And then you can actually see how much traction that ad gets, right? Marcy McKenna, she came in our inventors group, and she talked about how she's got an Amazon Live channel. She has her own HSN channel, and she does her own products. And she talked about how she never launches a product without doing a Pinterest ad to a landing page. And if she doesn't get interest, she will not launch the product. And it's so easy to see on Pinterest, like that immediate feedback, kind of like a survey on Pick was even faster, right? You get that immediate, but just to double validate it, you can really target that audience. The other thing is, like, there's a service called viper.io, I believe it is. And you can build a landing page, and you can run ads like Facebook ads or whatever with your mock-up to your landing page and get pre-launch signups, and they do really great flows. So that's another great way. I think initially for design decisions and stuff, PickFu is perfect, right?
Yeah,
and then
15 minutes done.
Yeah, when you really get your designs and everything down, and you're like, man, I think this is the final mock-up. I think like this is good, you know, like then turn to a very specific audience, like on Pinterest, for example, run that ad with your final mock-up and everything, and see if you can actually get people signing up to get that product before launch. Because not only can you do some pre-launch sales, but you can also get some really, really great data, and you can get really great feedback from people. Where let's say you put the price point on there on your pre-launch page, and you have people signing up, or you have them, maybe you offer 2 buttons or something, sign up for this and you get 50% off, sign up for this, or whatever, or people are leaving comments, you're asking for feedback. But once you have that audience, then you can ask them for more and more feedback. You can ask them, to look at your samples and everything like that. So that's 2 things that I really like. And the other thing that I learned is about Etsy launches. So if you have a product that will work for Etsy, Etsy is extremely cheap to launch. You don't need a UPC code or anything like that. You can launch your product on Etsy ahead of time, and you can actually see your competitors on Etsy. You can see how many add to carts they have for a similar product. You can run Etsy ads for it, super cheap, right? And just see like, how's your conversion rate for that? So, even if you have if you're just testing it out and you're running ads and seeing how it's going, right? Etsy is another great way to test a new product to see.
Etsy actually is pretty, it's easy and simple, but at the same time, it's pretty tricky. I'm not selling on Etsy, but I know people, like, generally speaking, like with Amazon, people who are super successful with Etsy, and people who cannot figure it out at all. It's like,
it's definitely a platform you have to learn, right? Like, did you know that the average 6-figure Etsy seller, like 6-figure per month Etsy seller, has at least 20 listings for one product?
I bet they supposed to, yeah. And
they're just like painting the page, like covering, it's like, it's really interesting to see the growth and the changing of Etsy. But that's one way, if you have a good product for Etsy where you think the customer is there, right?
Yeah.
But you could use the Pinterest ad. And, if you have more of like a male audience, you could do like a Reddit ad, that would lead.
We actually had a customer, her products were not selling on Amazon. And she was, one of the products that she couldn't sell on Amazon was the skincare. And she decided to list the skincare on Etsy. She was sold out within a week with like 300 or 400 pieces. I don't remember. It was before 500, but it was like something 300-400 items she sold on Etsy. Could you imagine? And it was skincare.
The thing is, like, what I learned from this other entrepreneur who taught me this about Etsy She said 90% of the time when it does well on Etsy, she'll move it over to Amazon because it will do well on Amazon too. So I thought, wow, that's another great way. Of course, it depends on the market. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I think sometimes people just try to apply things across the board, and, you know, you go try to launch your basketball line on Etsy, like that's not really the market for that, right? So we have to make sure that we're following the market. Same thing if we have a men's product for Pinterest and the primary buyer is men's, there's not a huge male audience on Pinterest. So that might not be the best technique, right? So, you know, it's like use a Facebook group full of men or something like that, where, you know, it's like your target audience. There's a lot of ways to do it. And then of course, with PickFu or Product Pinion or any of the other survey type of things, you can even do Mechanical Turk, Amazon Mechanical Turk, and you can target your specific, like you can narrow down the audience, say like, I want men with these interests between this age and this age. So yeah, I think it's
one more thing, you know, we I did not mention that when you found this magical product, high demand, low competition, ready to be customized, everything is groovy, don't forget about the price. Look at the market and what is the price point. And if you see that, okay, other competitors are selling, let's say, I don't know, $30. And you're thinking, okay, I probably can sell it for $25 or also for $30 and I will be in profit. It doesn't mean you're going to sell for the same $30. Maybe you will have to sell it for like $12. So you have to see how many sales has the product, if it's the same similar product for $20, for $12, and like for $55. Because if people are not buying it for $55 and the person who is holding the price of $55, it's just because they understand they will not have any margin. That's why they're holding this price. And people who are selling, they are actually selling because their price is low. Like I'm not going to buy the candle for $50. Some people are, I'm not. I'm burning candles all day. So I cannot burn $250 a day just to feel good about it. So you have to make sure your product is on the market. So with the market price. So because sometimes you can get excited. You can say, oh, okay, others are selling, I'm going to sell too. Sometimes others are selling. If it's just one or two sellers with a high price, they're selling because something else. Maybe it's brand, maybe it's
I see
bloggers.
that time and time again, or people will think that they should make a high-end version of the product, and people won't look for a high-end version of that product on Amazon. They look for a low price of that product on Amazon. And so I use the example of toiletry bags all the time. People launch these expensive toiletry bags on Amazon and they just don't sell because, you know, you can get a really nice looking one for $12, you know, and there's not that much, you know, of a market for, you know, high-end toiletry bags on Amazon, right?
Yeah.
So it's just, that's one of those things. I agree 100%. Keep your price. And that brings us into product development. So a lot of times people end up, like you said, with margin. They're trying to sell for a high price because they have no margin. And what ends up happening is people think differentiate, differentiate, differentiate. And they add all these things. They take this water bottle and they're adding lights and then a handle and extra things and they're making a mold. And now they've overspent so much when the customer just wants to pay $19.99 for this. And, you know, they've added all these bells and whistles and they overdeveloped the product. They're not doing the minimum viable product. They're not doing something that matters to the customer. And now it's cost them so much. And they expect this customer to pay $5 extra because they have, you know, 5 extra pairs of chopsticks in their sushi making kit. Well, the customer doesn't care about that. They just want the one for $20, you know? So you really have to be careful about product development. So talk to us a little bit about your process for product development and how you ensure that you're always developing the minimum viable product and not overspending so that you can maintain the margin.
So we are seeking for a couple ways here. Way number one is, like we mentioned everything, I'm not going to go over, just not to waste our time. So let's assume we found this best combination of all, like low competition, high demand, ready to customize. And we like to launch the product where this product will be with the variations. So let's assume we already found the set or the product with something else that are matching the market price, and we validated the market price for us. We checked the sourcing agent, we checked another sourcing agent. We found out that we will be able to have the margin and profit on this product the moment we will start selling on Amazon. We are splitting the product for several products, and we're also doing a bundle or a set, whatever you wanted to call it. Bundle usually if it's a combination of 2 items, set if it's a combination of 2 same items. If you have different items, pieces in a set, this is the set. So generally speaking, it's a difference. If like it's 2 pen, it's bundle. If it's a set of like different items, we call it set. Like people can debate it, just to make it clear what I'm talking about here. So if we have like, let's say, iPhone case and the pen, it's of course nobody's doing it, right? So it's just an example. I can sell iPhone case and I can sell a pen, and it will be 2 variations when we're doing the product development. And we, for example, we're thinking that this will be the gift for, I don't know, boss, right? Or we can sell the pen for the boss, and we can sell the iPhone case for the boss, and we can sell them together. So when we're doing the product development, we're trying to move forward and looking into the market where people will be able to buy something separately and together, because you can create one product and sell it with the different SKUs where it's the same development, it's similar products, you have more SKUs, and this is how you can increase your sales without developing extra products. So we're trying to make sure that all items we're developing for one set, we will be able to sell separately, which will make us more money, which will make us more revenue, because we will be able to show Amazon that we have a lot of products. So for example, you have set of like 5 pieces. Each individual piece you can sell by itself. You can sell them together. You can combine them in between, and it will make you like 10 SKUs, 7 SKUs. So in this particular case, when we're developing the product, we're trying to immediately scale in our head how we're going to match the actual market with the demand. And at the same time, we're also looking into the ad spy through the Smart Scout that I was mentioning before. Because during the development process, we have to make sure that we have enough of keywords where we will be able to get impressions on the top 5, top 10% on Amazon. Because if all our impressions will be somewhere very, very far away, so we will not be able to show them on the first page on Amazon, we'll be able to like see, we will be seen only somewhere, I don't know, like page 300, which does not exist, then it doesn't make any sense for the product development, right? Even it's a high demand, low competition, but the keywords that you are running the campaign will not be winning because the winning rate is super low, then we're not going to launch it. So you have to go through the validation process also with the ad spend. If you're not validating your product with the ad spend, you're just thinking, I will figure it out. And then you will not. Then you stop.
Right.
Your
it's
product
too expensive to keep it going. Yeah. That's one of my validation points too, is to make sure that I calculate how much those keywords are going to cost to rank for and everything, and kind of working that in. Love it.
And of course, you have to make sure, of course, the moment you're launching the product, your ad spend will be higher because no reviews, you don't have any organic sales, you don't have anything. Your tag costs will be like crazy, high likely, and your ACOS will be more crazy. So at this point, you have to manage expectations and you have to check, okay, if I have 0 reviews, what will be my ad spend? If I have 5 reviews, what will be my ad spend? If I have 50 and 100. So you have to set up those goals. And right now, also depends on the product, but Amazon is not really good right now with the Vine program. Like for example, we launched about 12 products since the May 1st. None of them been claimed yet with the Vine product, like zero.
Vine for reviews, you mean?
For the reviews, yeah. None of them. However,
which is why it's always good to have your own launch list, your own pre-launch list. And, you know, if you can get that going ahead of time, then by the time you launch, you can have your own pre-orders, you have the person's email, you can reach out to them, you can get their honest feedback and understand like if there's anything wrong with the product that would prevent someone else from leaving a 5-star review, and that'll really help you, right? Yeah,
of course. And a lot of sellers who Amy is working with, they already have it. But there are some sellers who doesn't have it. And at this point, which is the tool that is super helpful, also free, seller tools, request review. Helium 10 has this option too, and I believe it's also free with Helium 10. Yeah,
and it's also in your Amazon dashboard. So
but on Amazon dashboard, you have to go through each individual request. Where like if you will install the software, you can do automatically through, and you will go through all your orders at the same time. It will take you like a minute, and you will be able to see like, okay, so, and this is the way how you can get reviews faster. Our statistics is when you are not requesting any reviews at all, when you're doing 0 requests, you probably getting back 1 to 2% organic reviews. When you're requesting reviews, you're getting about 10, sometimes 15%. Warning here, don't do it every day. So if you're requesting the review and sometimes the software, even you requested the review already, they can request one more time. And I don't want to be wrong, but there is some limit. There are some limit where you cannot request more than like some amount of time.
Yeah, and people were, I think Helium 10 was like broken for a little while or something, and people were like getting suspended or getting in trouble. Something was going on with their review button.
So just make sure the moment you request it, like do it once a week.
Instead of like every few days, like request review.
Don't do it every single day. Or just set up some rules for yourself, or if you have a VA, like every 7 days. And when you are in your order section, just put there for by default 7 days, and just put to the calendar reminder every 7 days. Amy requests the reviews, and you'll just go in and you're requesting the reviews with one button. It will take you like 3 seconds. So this is the very good way to gain the reviews. Super easy, super helpful. You don't have to take care of it. And I promise the moment you will get your first 5-7 reviews, Amazon will start pushing your products pretty well. And one of my customers, former students, he's not my customer, he's my former student. He got 5,000 reviews on, I believe, 5 or 6 his products within 2 years.
That's awesome.
0 fake
I like
reviews.
Also making sure that I design the product insert flow prior to launch so that I'm following up, but I'm providing value. So, we just did our It's Time to Brand course, and we developed all these digital, awesome, like digital downloads that add a lot of value. And so you're not having to mail something out, but you're getting a lot of response in your email. So I love that you're really focused on that and helping folks like do that from the very beginning. So we're coming to the end of the show today, and we always ask the question of, obviously, Izabella, you have been very successful from a very young age. You've been very driven, and you just keep on going. You're like the Energizer Bunny. I mean, every time I see you at events and stuff, I'm just like, oh my gosh, she just never runs out of energy. She's always.
Well, you're the one who's been dancing at Omnia the whole night,
I can, yes, I love to dance. But what keeps you? We always ask our entrepreneurs who come on the show, what is it that you do? What's your routine to stay motivated? Are you listening to a podcast? Are you meditating? Are you reading certain books? Are there certain things that have had a big influence on you that you're doing to stay motivated?
I know you're meditating a lot. So when interesting thing about meditation, I'll get to the point to your question. When I was living in Bali and Thailand, I was meditating there, and the environment there was making me feel comfortable to meditate and relax. Here in States, and genuinely speaking, like it's not just in States, and when I was in different countries and was living in Russia, I was always being driven by achieving the goal. And when I was feeling overwhelmed, I realized that like nobody put pressure. Nobody asking me to achieve anything. Genuinely speaking, the world doesn't care, but I do. And it's something happening inside of, I don't know, in between here and here, that I always set some extra goals for myself that I have to accomplish. And if I'm not accomplishing anything, if I don't have any goals, something is wrong. If my phone is quiet, sometimes you're like, I really want everybody shut up and I want to relax. And universe is giving it to you. Universe, okay, you asked to shut up, we all shut up. Mm-hmm. And it's quiet, like it might be quiet for an hour and nothing is blinking and ringing, and I feel something wrong. I really feel that I'm out of my comfort zone when I am not moving. Yeah. And I think I don't have any secrets, it's just my nature. I am not feeling comfortable when I'm not in the discomfort situation. So yeah, my comfort
is no growth without discomfort.
Yeah. So, and I think it's just my most comfortable positioning, is when I am in a very discomfort situation.
I love it. I also am very driven by goal setting. I set quarterly, annual, weekly, monthly goals, even daily. So, that's really, it keeps me, I love checking off a to-do list. I just love it. It drives me, it keeps me going. So I love that. Like if you're not setting goals, what are you doing? Right. Love it. Well, our last question is the most important one. How can people follow you, get in touch with you? What do you want to share about people finding and following Izabella and Ritz Momentum?
I just wanted to make a joke, just like ask universe and you shall receive. No, very easy, Izabella Ritz. You can find me on LinkedIn, Facebook. Our website is ritzarm.com. Arm like arm. Yeah. Ritz Arm, and arm is because in the beginning we called ourselves Amazon Ritz Momentum, and that's why it was Ritz Arm, so we just kept it. We have free calls. You can always set up the call after you fill out the form. You can always listen also our podcast and Instagram. Yeah, actually follow us on Instagram too. It's Arm Agency. Or if by any chance you're speaking Russian, then you can follow on Ritz Arm. Super active. My team is always entertaining you guys.
She is. She even does videos for the rest of us. She sent me a video after I spoke at in LA. It was just like, what? Okay. So she's amazing. Well, thank you so much, Izabella, for being here today. Thank you, everyone who is in the Zoom with us. Thank you to everyone watching live. And thank you to those of you who are catching us on your favorite podcast platform. And we will see you guys next time on the Seller Roundtable.
Yeah, Amy, thank you for having. And let me take a picture. And we will post on our Instagram today, tagging Amy and Amazing at Home, because they're really amazing. And again, thank you for introduction and for having me on your podcast. I value it a lot.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much, Izabella. And thanks everybody for being in. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to stop the live stream here.